Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic.
No!
And today I'm going to be talking about team building for Mega Awoken Blue Sonia. So, not only do I have a pretty pancake in my life who is pouty but happy at the same time, but...
Really?
What? Really what?
No,
Yes.
scrap that.
No.
Start over.
This is great. It's going perfectly. So,
No.
Mega Awoken Blue Sonia is the first in a series of 6-star Godfest exclusives to receive these special animated evolutions. So, essentially, these are basically Awoken evolutions, except judging by Green and Blue Sonia, they only had a single typing. So, maybe that's what they call them Mega Awoken, because the animation and the single typing, whereas most Awoken cards tend to have multiple typings. But regardless of all of that, this article will be basically showcasing my thoughts and rationale for team building Blue Sonia, because this is a team I actually have, and it's not as standardized, quote unquote, as other teams out there, which are basically like reusing the exact same subs over and over again and sticking on inherits as the dungeon requires. So, let's look at Blue Sonia basically at a glance. So she has 7,080 base health, so huge amount of health and very large amount of attack. So she's very stacked in those two stats. However, she has 0 base recovery, and that will be problematic, and I'll explain more so in a moment. Her active skill provides 3 turns of bind recovery, removing locked orbs, and then changing the whole board to water and dark on a 15-turn cooldown. So a regular bicolor board changer is only 12 turns, whereas this one is 15. So you're basically paying 3 extra turns of cooldown to give bind clearing and orb unlocking. And that's important because you can unlock orbs and then board change them away. Very helpful for when, say, like hazards get locked and you made the mistake of only keeping an incorrect number left over. So say you had 2 locked poisons. Now Blue Sonia can get rid of those, which is very valuable. So she's combining so many different aspects into a single active skill. Her leader skill provides basically 2.25 times stats to all dragons, as well as a 43.75% damage reduction. This is assuming using dual Blue Sonia leaders. And it has 56.25 times attack. So this level of durability is somewhat unprecedented. She is incredibly tanky and incredibly hard to kill, because in solo mode you can sometimes even get close to like 80, 90, 100,000 health with this 43% damage reduction shield. So very hard to actually kill Blue Sonia, as well as having a modest amount of attack value. So this is quite valuable, and it's going to be even making her team building a little easier in a way, because she also has built-in 2 seconds of orb movement time. So double Blue Sonia's gives you by default 9 seconds to move orbs, because you have 5 base and then 2 and 2 from each leader. So you don't need time extends whatsoever in your subs. So this does save a lot of awakening slots, so to speak, but it does kind of gimp out the leader skill in some small way, because like I said, that 56 times attack is on the lower end. Now, it's great for damage control because you can deal with Sopdet, Vishnu, Parvati, and Hera Dragon without a Fujin, which is incredibly valuable for Arena 3 farming. And for the most part, if you hit 7 combos, you will be able to sweep most of the floors in Arena 3 without trying, so to speak. So the only difficulty will be having at least 3 water, 3 dark orbs on the board, and once that's achieved, you can basically sweep most of the floors. But in terms of draws or cons, she does have that lowish attack multiplier, so when you're playing through like say harder content than Arena 3, you may be finding yourself lacking damage. For example, when I was playing her, testing her out in 3-player arena with some friends, I couldn't kill Metatron without a spike, without a gemstone princess. I could make an optimal board, well, optimal bicolor board, but I never could surpass 20 million damage. So that is a bit of a drawback and a problem overall. So that's just something to keep in mind, that you can't do spectacular amounts of damage without a gemstone, or unless you have lots of Blue Sonias as duplicates in order to tap into her 4 damaging awakenings. Because she does have 4 offensive awakenings, which is somewhat unusual. She has 2 7-combo awakenings, so that's 4 times damage right there. And she has double orb unlocking. So she can unlock orbs by matching 5 connected water or dark orbs. Now, connecting L's will only boost that respective color, but this is where things can become problematic, because to a certain extent you need duplicates of Blue Sonias on her team to function well, because if you want to make the optimal boards with L's, only Blue Sonias are really tapping into that damage, so that can be a little problematic overall. And the last big drawback is that 0 base recovery. Yes, she does provide 2.25 times recovery for the whole team, but when your 2 leaders and possibly some of your subs have 0 base, so only plus 297 from plus eggs, it's going to be a little challenging to heal up. So you do have to keep kind of that in the back of your head when team building Blue Sonia. So she is kind of revitalizing the whole tank meta style team, basically kind of somewhat grinding things out, but you still can do great amounts of damage. So this is nice. But that durability is invaluable. You can tank hits that you're not supposed to tank without a shield, and that's very helpful for the most part. Like, you can forget, you don't have to worry about like preemptives. Like, there's pretty much no preemptive in the game that can one-shot Blue Sonya teams when I think about it, because even Goemon in Alt Arena is 145,000, and in solo mode, I think a Blue Sonya team can still tank that hit with being provided they're at full health, which is kind of spectacular about a shield. But the main issue is if you don't have enough recovery to heal back up, it's not going to do much good. Having a large pool of health is not so great if you can't actually replenish it over time, and that can be a little problematic. So even though you can tank resolve, like say like there's gravity-based attacks, you do reduce it by 43%, it's still a large chunk of health you are losing. If you're not healing it back up, it can be a little problematic. But if you are able to kind of work around the recovery issue, you can basically stall somewhat forever on most spawns. Like if you don't match water and dark, you're not dealing damage, so you can basically stall infinitely long on those spawns, which is important. Now, that low attack multiplier is good for damage control, but it does prevent you from spiking incredibly high. So assuming no orb enhances, which is important, if you have orb enhances, then this all's thrown out the window. You can deal with all the spawns in Arena 3. So Sopdet has 200,000 absorb, 2 combos of water dark, you can kill Sopdet. Very nice. I've seen pictures of, say, 6 green Sonyas, one turning Sopdet in Arena. Basically, you just match 2 combos and it should work. Blue Sonya should do the same thing because you don't overshoot anyways. Provided you don't have too many on-color stat transferring inherits, you should be able to deal with Sopdet without much difficulty. Parvati is very easy for Blue Sonya because she's blue, so you have even more wiggle room. Basically making 6 combos of with one of them being water and one of them being dark. You're not going to overshoot her 300,000, which is effectively 600,000 threshold. Vishnu has 1 million absorb, but he's wood, so you can make 7 combos of 1 water, 1 dark, and you're going to have a great time. When he gets low, just delay Vishnu, and you're pretty much set to go. Hera Dragon does take a little bit more effort. You need 7 combos with 1 water, 1 dark, and you're going to hit under that 2 million anyways, because you're hitting that under 2 million against Vishnu. So with that in mind, you don't need to bring a Fujin for Blue Sonya in Arena 3, but it just makes it a little nicer, especially against Hera Dragon, because it can be a little tedious because they do have a decent sized health pool, and bad things can happen to nice people. So just having a Fujin does make your life easier, but you don't need a Fujin for the other spawns, so it's just really nice to have overall for Blue Sonya. Now, in terms of her offensive awakenings, she personally has 2 7 combos to L unlock, so that's where a lot of her damage is coming from. The fact that you match basically L's and 7 combos, you're going to spike incredibly high, and that has great synergy with her base active skill, because when you match those optimal bicolor boards with the L's, you're going to hit over 7 combos, and if the distribution is appropriate, you might even get 2 or maybe even 3 water L's, and that's going to allow her to deal massive amounts of damage, but still not crazy high amounts. So each L Awakening does unlock the orb, so it can prevent the need for actually utilizing her base active skill. So just keep that in mind if something gets locked and you don't want to have it locked, but you don't want to actually pop your Blue Sonya active skill. Now, in terms of team building Blue Sonya, you only can utilize Dragon type cards, and I strongly suggest you only use Water type ones because your damage can be potentially diluted, especially if you're using orb changers like Andromeda or Blue Cotton to make more water orbs that don't necessarily produce dark orbs at the same time. Now, another point to keep in mind is if you use a dark-based dragon card, you can't deal with Sopdet. That dark card is going to heal Sopdet every single time, and that's going to be a big problem overall. So in terms of awakenings you should be pursuing, you need to obviously sort your monster box by dragons, and ideally blue at the same time, and then look for cards with 7 combo awakening. That is the most universal and powerful awakening for Blue Sonya teams. Yes, the L Awakening can be useful, but the thing is, you're not going to be pursuing L's that often. If you have, say, 6 water orbs, you're more likely going to make 2 sets of water because, let's say, most of your subs don't have the L Awakening. It's not going to really be beneficial. You're better off going for the 2 distinct combos. And that's why 7 combo is more ideal overall, and also because it's less orb hungry. Statistically speaking, you should have a board of 3 water and 3 dark, so optimize the board. You have 7 to 8 combos on average. You're going to be dealing reasonable amounts of damage. In addition to 7 combo awakenings, another thing to keep in mind is follow-up attack. Now, to a certain extent, Blue Sonya teams have a lower dependency on follow-up attacks because they have so much durability and damage control, so you can technically tickle down resolve spawns appropriately. However, provided it's not something like Hino, you can basically tank any of the resolve hits. Like, say you encounter Sha Wu Jing, he will cut your health, but because you have the damage reduction shield, your health doesn't go down to 1%, and then you tank whatever hits afterwards. So you can actually just tank a lot of the resolve execution hits with Blue Sonia. So follow-up attack is nice for sure, but it's not as mandatory. Only something like Hino can be problematic because your skills all get delayed and the shield is no good there. So the base active skill is not as important because, again, this team is durable and you can tank and stall. You'd rather utilize subs that have the ideal awakenings or stat distributions than those that have the perfect base active skill. Just because, again, you can stall for those active skills without too much worry or fear. And another thing to keep in mind is recovery is important. Even though with 2.25 times recovery, your healing output is quite low unless you're running some high recovery subs or you're utilizing the bonus recovery solo mode badge. Now, the solo mode badge is usually by default going to be recovery unless you have a team that has lots of recovery, which is possible. Then you may opt for the health badge to tank even more large hits because that health badge is going to boost your health up to kind of somewhat ridiculous levels. So, notable cards to run. Again, this is all based on, to a certain extent, your monster box as well the dungeon you're facing. So, like I already mentioned, duplicate Blue Sonias are kind of amazing on our team because A, the active skill is great, B, it's bind immune, and C, it has all of those awakenings that you want. As double 7 combo, double L, when you make those optimal boards, those Blue Sonias are going to be dishing out spectacular amounts of damage. Ryune is going to be possibly the most available follow-up attack card for most players because A, she's incredibly old, so a lot of players have rolled her over time, as well as having a very nice base active skill. Her active skill produces a board of hearts, water, and dark, so again, basically what you want. You can heal and deal damage, make the follow-up attack, which she comes with, but the only drawback is she only has 1 7 combo awakening, and the TPAs and rows go to somewhat of a waste. Blue cotton is possibly the most popular color to make for most cottons because it has the most usage across various teams because of the high health stat and covers what is sometimes awkward colors for other kind of rainbow-oriented teams. So a lot of people have a blue cotton lying around, and she's great on Blue Sonia teams because she does have double 7 combo awakening, so I find her a bit more powerful than Ryune because she's dishing out much higher damage. Her base active skill is still useful. Yes, you do kind of stop yourself getting Skyfalls, but you make hearts and water orbs, which can be meaningful so you can burst higher even though you don't have Skyfalls. But another great aspect of Blue Cotton's base active is that it has a short 5-turn cooldown, so it's very easy to inherit over top of her. Uruka is another stellar sub overall because A, she has that Fujin style active skill, so you can just bring her along and basically trivialize Hera Dragon, for instance, but she has double 7 combo awakenings when you unlock her super awakenings. And that makes her actually very powerful because she's going to be dishing out large amounts of damage at the same time, as well as providing a useful active skill. And even if it charges up and you don't encounter absorption spawn, the full board changer that includes hard orbs and all 5 colors is still useful because at least you can activate Blue Sonia and heal up to a certain extent. Amatsu is normally the best follow-up attack option for most teams. However, I feel that Blue Cotton is better than Amatsu just because Amatsu's active skill is somewhat redundant because the orb unlocking has less value on Blue Sonia teams, and the fact that his base active breaks or takes away Dark Orbs prevents Blue Sonia from activating, as well as being a longer cooldown than Blue Cotton. So you can inherit something over top of Amatsu, but you can't use his base active otherwise. So that is a bit of a problematic scenario. Yes, he does have massive amounts of health, but on Blue Sonia teams, that health is not as needed. So amusingly enough, Amatsu is not the best follow-up attack option overall. I feel that Blue Cotton is the better one overall. Andromeda has an Awoken form in North America and a reincarnated form in Japan. Both of them are still dragons. Both of them share a useful, beneficial active skill that makes water orbs and hard orbs while not breaking up your activation requirements, as well as taking away hazards. And Andromeda can gain a follow-up attack through her super awakenings through her reincarnated form in Japan, but it's not as magical, I feel, as Cotton overall because her output, a lot of the awakenings are kind of wasted with those TPAs, but still a great card to have overall. Mitsune is not oftentimes a heavily utilized card overall because that massive amount of recovery and follow-up attack is kind of like, well, it's nice, but usually there are better options out there. However, for Blue Sonia teams, the 1,000 base recovery is pretty incredible because basically it allows you to heal up and solve all of your healing problems, as well as when you play it in co-op, you have the co-op boost, so you have even more RCV. So he solves all of your healing problems. He does provide a follow-up attack. The base active skill is not so great, so again, you usually inherit something over top of it, but the fact that you're basically giving yourself massive weighted stats with the co-op boost awakening and huge RCV is a nice thing to have on Blue Sonia teams when you need to stall and dance out through problematic mechanics. Distal has 3 skill boosts and 2 L awakenings, so maybe in certain scenarios it might be useful, but unfortunately his damage output's going to be lackluster unless you're pursuing those L's, so unless you have lots of cards on your team with L awakenings, not so great overall. In all honesty, Distal's probably a better inherit, but it's worth mentioning because he does have at least 3 skill boosts. Kiri is another Dragonbound Dragon Color card with triple Dragon Killer Awakening, so very situational usage where you want to basically obliterate a dragon spawn, and their base active skill is normally a waste on traditional teams, but it actually can have some merit on blue Sonia teams who are mono blue. And this is because it changes the opposing boss's attribute to red. So that allows basically your all your water cards to deal 2 times effective damage. So it acts as a pseudo burst at the same time. However, if you're facing a wood spawn, that wood would be reducing your damage by 50%, and changing it to fire basically is allowing you to have effectively 4 times damage boost. So say you're fighting something like Gaia Dragon, now you're doing 4 times damage instead of you're basically doing 4 times more damage because you've used the Kiri's active skill. So again, it can have situational value with that color swapping active skill. Blue Nay has very similar active skill to Ryune in that it creates a board of water, hearts, and dark orbs, but Blue Nay is a better choice if you don't need follow-up attack because you have double 7 combo, you're also bind immune, so less awakenings are wasted overall. She does have 2 TPAs, but at least there's no Rose. Julie is another possible situational sub you can run because of the Dragon, God, and Attacker killers. So if you're facing spawns that ideally have overlapping typings of those 3, Julie can be an incredible sub, but if those typings don't overlap, it's better off to pick a double 7 combo awakening card because Julie be only doing 3 times damage to that particular spawn instead of a double 7 combo awakening card dealing 4 times damage against every spawn. And also Julie has a pretty lackluster active skill. Karen, or Reincarnate Karen, does gain a second 7 combo awakening through her super awakening, so again, it does have value there, but unfortunately some of the Water Rose does take away from her overall performance because again you're wasting some awakenings. Her active skill is still useful. It's a 3 elemental board changer, but there's no hearts, so I'd rather have Ryune or Nay or Blue Nay instead of Karen's active skill, but again, inheritance can solve a lot of your problems. Orochi is a possible sub to run, but kind of like Amatsu, the health goes to waste, and Orochi's many TPAs are really wasted as well. They have lackluster base attack, so unless you're pursuing that TPA, which you generally won't be, Orochi's not going to be dealing much damage. The health kind of goes to waste. It's better to just inherit Orochi on someone else, in my opinion. And another sub I want to mention is Sarasvati. Awoken Sarasvati does have a decent active skill. It can produce up to 5 water orbs on a column, but again, you might override your dark orbs, so just be careful. But because it has a 6-turn base cooldown, you are able to easily inherit something over top of it. You are giving yourself Water Skyfalls if you choose to use the base active, so it can have value there. But one thing to keep in mind is Sarasvati has Orb Enhance Awakenings, which does ruin damage control. So notable inherits and latents. So it's really hard to give recommendations for team building in this day and age because everything is so flexible and you just change based on the dungeon at hand. But in terms of like a blanket statement we can make, generally speaking, useful inherits to have are delays, a burst, because again, Blue Sonia has somewhat low multiplier, as well as an orb or board changers that make hearts. Now, being able to basically make water and dark orbs is great, but being able to make heal orbs alongside of it is beneficial because you can heal and deal damage at the same time. Delays are kind of self-explanatory. Delay a dangerous spawn, dance around it, makes your life easier. Bursts, again, kind of patch up her lack of burst potential. And in terms of latents, Blue Sonia herself does not have a good killer latent awakening choices, so SDRs or health tends to be a good choice overall. But do keep in mind that machine killers can make Gaia Dragon a little easier if you're struggling against them in Arena 3. But again, skill delay resistant health tend to be the best. And your other cards that you can run, the killer latents you want to equip on them is basically just dependent on the dungeon you're facing as well as what they're actually allowed to accept. So, in conclusion, Blue Sonia is a very fun and very durable leader to play through. She's great for content like Arena 3 in my opinion because she has enough damage to deal with the spawns without basically stressing out. She's incredibly durable, very forgiving, and can handle absorption spawns without the need of a Fujin. So, I enjoy playing her through Arena 3. It may not be the fastest, but it's very safe and very stress-free. So, let me know what you think about this article in the comments below, and what do you use on your Blue Sonia team? What kind of content do you like to play her through? Hopefully you all have a fantastic day. Wish you all the best of luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.